Good morning, Papayya. This is Jesse Grund, your director of operations here for a little interview with one of our followers, somebody using Papayya to help them but from a performance standpoint. And this is Zay. Zay, will you tell the listeners and watchers at home a little bit about you?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with me, Jesse. I've always been a fan of sports. I went to the gym for a few years. I got into running. I actually did my first two half marathons before I got in touch with Papayya. And eventually, I did my first Ironman 70.3 as a way to one day do the full Ironman, which is a triathlon, a long distance triathlon. So I wanted to repeat the last year's race. I wanted to repeat Ironman 70.3, and Papayya has been helping me to develop the right muscles and strengthen my joints in order to prevent injuries and improve my timings from last year's race, basically.
So training for an Ironman or triathlon is pretty daunting. Can you take us through what your weekly training looks like? Everything all included? Like what does it look like trying to prep for long distance events like that?
As you know, the swim, bike, and run take a lot of time throughout the week. So I'm training those three modalities not every day, but practically every day. I have tops one day of rest on the week. So I'm training anywhere between 7 to 10 workouts just in swim, bike, and run. So 1 to 2 times per week, I'm training twice per day. But on those days, I try to rest as much as I can. So today I went for a run and I trained with Papayya. I've stopped heading to the gym now. I'm not lifting weights. What I'm doing is I'm working with Papayya twice a week so that on top of my workouts of swim, bike, and run, I can work on my resistance training and activate my muscles instead of just moving forward as I'm doing with triathlon. So pretty much 12 workouts per week, around 20 hours of workouts. It's
Yeah.
starting to become a lot.
Sounds like a full-time job. Sounds like you have a very busy schedule, but you still make time to fit your strength training in, is what that sounds like. And so,
Yeah,
um,
thanks to Papaya, it's a little bit easier to fit my schedule. Just this week, I was supposed to train at 4, but because I had a few workouts, I could easily reschedule it from 4 to 12. It's practical.
that flexibility is really important, especially with a schedule like you have right now, because it's not like, you're doing triathlons and Ironmans, but it's not the only thing that you're doing. You have other things in your life that you're doing as well.
Sure.
Um, so it's very important to have that flexibility in schedule. Before you got in with Papayya, what were you doing from a strength and conditioning standpoint beforehand?
Pretty much just gym and running. So I'm doing anywhere between 3 workouts per week on the gym, trying to work on every single muscle in my body at least once per week. And I'm trying to do some sort of cardio, mostly in the low intensity zone, but sometimes I like to sprint. And I don't usually ride my bicycle a lot, except for I didn't used to ride my bike. Now I have this new bike, so I'm also doing a lot more cardio this way. But before I met Papayya and before I got into Ironman training, I was doing pretty much just 3 to 5 strength trainings and 1 to 3 cardio sessions per week.
Got it. And so now how many times a week are you training with Papayya to supplement your training? How many?
Twice.
Twice. Great. Do you feel like you get in a lot in those two sessions? You feel like you get in enough to kind of supplement all the other work that you're doing?
Yes, sometimes I get a little bit concerned about how much these workouts are going to impact the other 3 modalities of swim, bike, and run. But Papaya does a great job at making sure that the intensity doesn't go too much to the top and also doesn't stay too little intense. So it's just a perfect balance. It's being easy to manage.
What's your experience been like using the platform, flexibility of scheduling, all the stuff that we tell people, hey, we have, like, what has your experience been like in regards to what Papayya has to offer?
I have one session every week on, so I reserved a slot, but every now and then I can't work with that slot, so I reschedule it. I don't need to speak to anyone of the team about it. I can just reschedule my workouts and don't really need to explain much to anyone. So I just show up and everything's fine. Whether my workout is at 6 a.m., 9 a.m., or 7 p.m., I always have someone with me. So yeah, it's very independent. I just grab my phone and I manage my workouts based on how how busy my life is at this week.
Do you feel like the experience of coaching in the online space is incredibly different than the experience of coaching in the live space? Or do you feel like you get the same experience when it comes to, how you feel like you're moving, how you feel like you're being cued, how you feel like you're being motivated?
That's a great question. I don't have a lot of experience with physical personal training, but I do enjoy the professionalism that Ruth and Lewis and everyone from the team is able to provide through the screen. I don't feel alone. I know that they're watching, so it's a good experience. I don't feel like the online takes away too much of the human connection. We're still talking throughout our workouts.
Nice. That's great. What's the toughest event for you? The swim, the bike, or the run? Which one do you feel like you have to put the extra training time in for?
The bike.
The bike. Yeah.
Swim. Yeah, I've been running for a few years. It's just push through, as we all know how to run. It's just pushing through. Yeah, improve some technique, try to
Mhm.
manage your efforts. But swimming and cycling, they're a little bit more complicated. Between swimming and cycling, I said bike first, but I'm going to change my answer to swim. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I tried to prep for an ocean swim and got through like 2 months of the prep and I was like, I'm gonna drown, so I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay home. I'm not gonna try this. It's gonna be bad if I try this. Um, so when you're going through your strength training workouts themselves, can you kind of give people a glimpse of what your training's like, through Papaya? Like, is it, do you feel like it's all hit training? Or are you actually getting stronger? Can you just describe a little bit what you feel like the outcomes of your training sessions have been?
Yeah, it's Papaya works with a mixture of stretching and hit workouts pretty much, but the hit workouts can have different levels of intensity. I've had workouts where I tell my coach that I'm feeling a little bit tired and I'm going to have an important workout, so let's keep the intensity a little bit low. In those scenarios, I have like 3 to 4 rounds of low intensity exercises, but just as we speak, I had a workout 30 minutes ago where, I sweat like crazy in every single workout, but the intensity can be modified. I was doing heavy rows with my dumbbells at home. If you have any equipment, Papaya can adjust the intensity of the workouts based on what you have. So the hit workouts can be very efficient.
Great.
It's basically
Yeah.
a mixture of hit and stretching, which combined work perfectly well for my triathlon training.
How do you feel after the sessions? Do you feel, oh my God, what just happened to me? Or do you feel like renewed, refreshed, ready to go into, whatever the rest of your day is?
A mixture of both, more the latter after my shower. Before my shower, I'm still soaking in sweat. So,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking to myself that I feel good. Most of the times, I feel good after my papaya workouts.
Nice. Um, and so just, if you were to recommend Papaya to anybody, whether it be an athlete or a regular person, what would be the number one reason that you'd recommend it to others?
The touch you have with a professional in the field. We always like to think that we know everything there is to be known about sports, but there's always some value with working with a professional and having a look at you while you're performing these simple exercises. This will this can help you a lot improving the necessary muscles and improving in simple exercises, simple movements that we think we have perfected, but we haven't. That will be the main reason I can tell papaya is a good option for pretty much everyone, since a young adult training for a triathlon, a middle-aged man with high blood pressure, a old person with bone problems, with all due respect to the old person.
Hey, hey, listen, any of those people, you know, at the end of the day, they've made decisions that have got them there, and we encourage them to make decisions to get them out of there as well.
Exactly.
So, you know, there's that personal responsibility that goes with, you know, I like to make the joke that we all get one meat sack, this thing that we're running around in, and we need to take care of it, and we need to do the things to take care of it, and be conscious of those things. Now, you're not going to be an athlete for forever, but you are one right now. And you're
Yeah,
not going to be an athlete for forever. Do you see yourself continuing to use Papaya even just as a regular everyday person when you're not training for your events?
sure. It's a good combination. If I was not training for a triathlon, I see myself working with Papaya a little bit more than 2 times per week because, I mean, you could work with Papaya every day, but it's up to you whether you'd like to use it as a complement to your workouts or if you want to do Papaya full time. It's also an option. You just got to test it out. Whether you're an athlete or not, I think I'm always going to be using Papaya while I can.
Great. Hey, just on a kind of personal note, when is your next event? When are you performing again?
13 weeks. It's
Okay,
in 19th of October or 20th of October.
nice. And for those, what's your diet like 48 hours before the event?
Oh, uh, pretty much whatever I want, but I try not to go too far away from what my body is used to. So somewhere close to what I'm used to eating, but perhaps a little bit more on the carb side so that I ensure that on race day I'm properly full.
And in your normal everyday eating, you know, do you feel like because of everything you do, you probably eat a little more than the regular person does?
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah. So carbs are your friend as a someone who's training for triathlons?
Sure. I do have a very high fat diet, but
Okay.
I do love carbs. Sure.
Yeah.
As long as I get my fat and my protein, then I'll fill up with carbs.
Nice.
And yeah, just feeling good. If I feel like I was too weak on my workout today, I probably didn't have much carbs. So tomorrow I'll have to compensate or something.
Yeah. What drew you to the fat, the higher fat diet? Or what drew you to that?
What drove me to that? I guess a lot of people are scared of fat, and I've heard a lot of professionals saying that fat is actually essential for your body and that you should not fear fat. And I decided to give it a go, and I feel full. I don't have any metabolism problems for a while. My
Mm,
digestion is fine. I don't have a lot of fat accumulated, so I just keep it up. I'm not scared of fat at this moment. I just try to choose the best sources of fat, and it's easier to get a higher caloric intake when you're
mhm.
eating more fats instead of eating more carbs. That's one of the
Yeah.
reasons.
Nine calories per gram as opposed to 4
Well,
calories per gram is it's quite the amount. So you're talking double the amount of calories, which is also why when people eat too much fat in their diet, and they're like, "Why am I gaining so much weight?" I'm like, "Well, what have you been eating?" "Well, I had cheese with every meal." And it's like, "Well, there's your reason why."
I put my
Um,
weight down. I'm eating almonds.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, what are your fat sources? Like almonds, avocados, olive oil, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, nuts from almonds and how do you say it? Walnuts and almonds exactly, and getting some fruit, some nuts, olive oil, butter, eggs, meat, more
Great. Yeah.
coconut oil. I stay away from most vegetable oils except for olive oil, coconut oil, and some others that yeah, I try
Yeah.
to use more fat and eggs.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I really
But
honestly, this is more that, you know, we're moving into having a holistic offering at Papaya, and I want people to help understand that you are somebody who's in great shape, you train really hard, and you don't starve yourself. You eat a lot, you
yeah,
know, you have to eat a lot, and your caloric intake has to be high. And I think most people get into this mindset of, oh, he's probably eating like 15 or 1600 calories a day. And it's like, yeah, just a little bit more than that.
probably double that, and you'll
Yeah,
be close.
exactly. Exactly. So and so you know, people kind of get this mindset that eating can be your enemy, and actually eating is your friend, especially if you've got poor body composition, but especially for performance, you know, across the spectrum. Nutrition is just as important. I mean, imagine poor nutrition and you trying to maintain your training habits. Like, what would that be like?
It's impossible right now. I feel like if I miss my nutrition for a day, my whole week ahead is going to be destroyed in terms of workouts. I need
Yeah,
to get my nutrition and my rest right. Otherwise, the workouts are going to be impact impacted
yeah,
in some.
exactly. Jose, that's about all I got for you today. Thank you so much for talking to us and talking about your experience with Papaya. We wish you luck in your next event 13 weeks from now. I think you're gonna, you know, obviously gonna train hard moving up into that and hit your taper probably 3, 4 weeks out. But we wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I hope I get a workout with you at Papaya some in the next weeks, perhaps.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Make that happen. Thank you very much for your time, Jesse.